Am I the asshole for refusing to translate on the spot after my friend keeps using me as his proof he speaks the language? I'm 19M, fluent in another language because of my family. My friend Jake, 19M, has been learning it forever. He knows a few phrases, but he's not conversational. The problem is Jake likes people he speaks, and then when someone actually starts talking to him, he immediately looks at me to save him. It started out kind of harmless. We'd be out somewhere. He'd hear someone speaking it, and he'd jump in with a sentence. They'd respond normally, and he'd just stare at me like, help. I translate a bit to keep it from getting awkward for the strangers. After it happened a few times, I told him please stop doing that, like if you want to practice, just say you're learning. Don't tell people you speak it, and then make it your interpreter. He laughed and acted like I was being dramatic. He said it's good practice for him, and it's a cool skill for me. Last weekend we're at a birthday thing at a bar. He meets a couple at the next table, finds out they speak the language, and immediately goes, oh, I speak that too. Then he points at me like, and he does too, we can all talk. The couple gets excited and starts chatting fast, and then he starts doing the thing where he turns to me mid-conversation like, tell them. As if I'm just there to translate his life. I tried to be chill at first and said in English, I'm not translating tonight. He kinda ignores me and keeps trying to hand me lines to translate while the couple is just sitting there waiting. So I finally just said to the couple, in their language, sorry, I'm not translating right now, smiled and walked off to get a drink. Jake followed me and was pissed. He said I embarrassed him and made him look like a liar. He said I could have just helped for 2 minutes and corrected him later. I told him I have corrected him later multiple times, and he keeps putting me on the spot anyway. He says I'm petty, and that friends don't do that to each other. AITA? If the friend is going to lie, then they can get caught in the lie. Don't cover for people who don't want to do the work. Not the asshole. How is it not embarrassing for him to claim he speaks a language, but then requires you to translate? I don't understand how he's not been embarrassing himself this whole time. But anyway, make up translations. Tell Jake you're going to teach him how to say, I speak fluent language. But actually teach him, I don't actually know this language, I'm full of shit. Am I the asshole for having long hair at my friend's wedding? I, 25M, was invited to be a groomsman for my friend Parker's wedding. I've known him since high school, we became friends through a mutual friend, so I felt honored that he would ask me to be part of the wedding party. 2 days before of the wedding, Parker messaged in the group chat the dress/appearance expectations that he and his fiancée, Diane, wanted for their wedding. The only thing they expected for hair was neat and styled. I've been growing my hair out since high school, and keep it long just above my shoulders. To be courteous, I did ask Parker if there was a specific way I should style my hair. Man bun, half up, half down, ponytail, etc. He sent the shrugging emoji and said Diane just said neat and clean. So that's what I went with. I showered the night before, then ironed and curled my hair before the wedding. The wedding was amazing. After the wedding was not. A week later I was hanging with Parker, and some of our other friends that were groomsmen too. The wedding naturally got brought up in conversation. Later Parker pulled me aside and said that Diane was upset that my hair was long while the rest of the groomsmen's hair was short. Standard crew cut or middle part. He said he didn't think it was a big deal, but apparently she wouldn't stop talking about it, and that she had told him to mention it to me before the wedding. A friend nearby heard what we were talking about, and said he also thought it was weird that my hair was long. My defense was that the only instruction was neat and clean, and that I couldn't have gotten it cut from when Parker and his wife sent their expectations. Parker ended the conversation that he wasn't bothered by it, but he was cold to me the rest of the night. I want to move on, but I feel like Parker is being passive-aggressive and people are taking his wife's side. So am I the asshole? Big not the asshole man. Even if they had given instructions about it, it'd be ridiculous to expect a guy to cut his hair for someone else's wedding. Not the asshole. They knew you had long hair when you were asked to be a groomsman. WTF? Not the asshole, but I think Parker is going to be henpecked throughout his marriage. Am I the asshole for saying my sister crossed a line, even though everyone says I'm overreacting? I am, 29F, married to my husband, 30M. We've been together for years, and I've never had reason to doubt our relationship. My sister, 26F, is very involved in our lives. She comes over often, talks to my husband a lot, and has always said how much she feels safe around him. I didn't think much of it until recently, when she told me she feels a very strong emotional connection to him, and that she wanted to be honest with me. She insisted she meant nothing inappropriate, and said I should take it as a compliment that she trusts my husband so much. But after that conversation, I couldn't unsee certain things. She seeks his validation constantly, downplays my opinions, and acts hurt if I interrupt their conversations or set boundaries. I eventually told her that her behavior makes me uncomfortable and that I need her to respect my marriage. She immediately got defensive and said I'm being insecure, controlling, and projecting my own fears onto her. She told me that if I were more confident in myself, none of this would bother me. When I talked to my parents, they agreed with her. They said she was being emotionally honest and that I'm turning something harmless into drama. They keep reminding me that nothing actually happened and imply that I'm the one creating tension in the family. Now I'm starting to question myself. I feel uncomfortable, but everyone around me keeps saying I'm imagining things and being unfair. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole you said you talked to your husband, and he feels the same. Ultimately, it's up to him to set a boundary as well. If both of you are united, it should be fairly simple to force her to back off without completely destroying the relationship. Why are you discussing this with your parents? It's none of their business. You should tell your husband everything your sister has said to you about him. Not the asshole as long as your husband is aware of what's going on. Edited to add judgment. Your husband is also involved here. What does he think? Am I the asshole for naming my kid the same thing as my cousin's kid? My 30F cousin 35F. Megan feels like she's been trying to one-up me these last few years, and I decided I wasn't having it. First, she picked the same wedding date as me, but 1 year earlier. My now husband and I started dating over a decade ago on a specific date. Let's say March 9th. We got engaged a few years later, also on March 9th. We told all of our wedding attendees, small wedding, so only family, that we'd be getting married on March 9th 3 years from our engagement date, which everyone, including Megan, said was adorable and meaningful. Between my engagement and wedding, Megan met, got engaged, and got married to her now husband. When they were picking the wedding date, they said they liked how meaningful our upcoming wedding date was and wanted to do something similar. But their engagement date wasn't available at the venue they wanted, so they just chose the next date with the same digits. For example, if they'd gotten engaged on January 14th, they might have chosen April 11th. Well, the next date that met those rules was March 9th, 1 year before our wedding. When they called to tell us, they lead with, "We know it's the same date as your wedding, but our special date just wasn't available, and won't it be fun to share an anniversary? Plus, you can dedicate a dance to us at your wedding." Whatever. We had the DJ call them out during the couple's dance. Then, in between that and the next big event, see below, a few more small things happened that really made us scratch our heads. We sent thank you cards right after our wedding, and then they sent their thank you cards right after that. Yes, a full year after their wedding. We bought a new-to-us car, and they immediately bought a truly new car. Lots of things like that. Then the big event happened. 2 years after the wedding, they found out they were pregnant with their first baby. We were all immensely happy for them and had a few celebrations throughout her pregnancy. At the first one early on, people asked what she'd name the baby. She said she wasn't sure and asked everyone what their dream baby names were. Everyone shared, and I told her my dream baby name was Lena, the middle name of my sister I'm incredibly close with. She said it was pretty, but not to her taste. You can guess where this is going. When she announced the name of her baby, it was Lena. To make a long story short, I ended up becoming pregnant in the last 6 months, and have made it clear I will name my daughter Lena. Megan is irate, saying I'm ruining her daughter's special name and connection to her aunt, my sister. And Megan's mom is saying I'm going to ruin my own daughter's life by setting her up to be little Lena, or the second Lena, and will always risk getting them confused. So am I the asshole for naming my daughter what I wanted to name her? Am I really setting her up for a lifetime of derision? Why on earth did you tell her the real name you wanted to use? You should have just given a random name. I am one of 4 cousins with the same first name. We're all fine and nobody confuses us. And never tell anyone the actual name you want to use. Lie.